Hey, what's going on YouTube? Acro Breeder here. This is my update for November 2020. You're looking at my 40-gallon breeder, DIY, Acropora dominated, with some micro lords here on the bottom. I need to re-aquascape this tank as I'm getting bored with it, but I've been procrastinating. Black Friday is upon us, so I'll probably order some, I think it's Life Rock branch, and work on building a structure, removing these colonies. Talk is cheap, I need to start making it happen. My Acropora on the glass experiment is having varying success here. The PC Rainbow loves the extreme flow and low light. That's a good observation I've made. You can see this red planet, the branches started to come out, but the extreme flow from the gyre eventually stripped the flesh. So I'll probably scrape that off here. This Millie's loving it. A little bit of an odd growth structure from the extreme flow coming from one direction. It's kind of surprising what they can handle. You can see this thing is just getting obliterated with direct flow. Still finding a way to make it. So you really got to screw up to kill these corals. As long as the water is in check as far as the major and trace elements, they can really handle a huge variety of light and flow conditions. Like I said, I'm getting bored with this tank. I did think about at one time turning this into an LPS system, but then I feel like it's kind of a waste of this lighting fixture. So I think I'm just going to stick with re-aquascaping. Alright, enough of that. Move on to my other tank, 75 Peninsula. The colors are just true to life here that you're seeing. I mean, this tank is just doing phenomenal. Sometimes I can't believe how well it's doing. Coral growing on the glass. Kind of turning out exactly what I envisioned. Need to do a little bit of pruning here. You can see this blueberry is growing a cap over the electric avenue. Cali Tort needs to be trimmed back a little bit, starting to shade out this banana locani. It's been a very slow grower for me. The yellow color is very intense. Comes across more green on camera, but in person it's very yellow. So all the fish inhabitants have remained the same this month. Everyone's happy. Here's a little shot of the other side. Lights are starting to turn off here. I better hurry up. Need to do a little bit of fragging here on these corals growing on the glass. Here's a close-up of the Dragon Soul torch. It's up to 3 heads here in a short period of time, so that's promising. Can't wait to see this thing fully growing out. Strawberry Shortcake hasn't really done much, so I've talked with a few people and they recommend just kind of wounding the edges of it, and they will sprout out branches as a typical response. So I haven't really experimented with that. I'm going to give it a try. Also, I'm going to go ahead and just snip off this original frag. From my experience, a lot of the times the original frag will not grow, it seems like. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off and move it to my other system to have like a backup bank, so to speak. Walt Disney tips are coming out. Growth is very slow. I'm going to look into increasing nutrients. I know I'm always talking about that, but it just seems like I increase more and more every month. And you can see this acro. It's a wild acro. It's very hairy, happy. Gold Millie coloration looking nice. Acquired this frag here. It's a purple haze at the frag swap. as well as a cherry bomb. Cherry bomb was received very white, almost stark white. Somehow under the coloration of the frag swap, they look good. You know, that's all right though. It's gonna make it. Sometimes it's hard to tell at these shows what you're working with. Also picked up this mystery tenuous, I believe. It wasn't named. I think it was just a chip off a wild colony. So it'll be interesting to see what that plays out to be. This is my Jason Fox B33, looking a little bleached out. I mean, that's kind of how it's been its entire life in this tank. It is growing well though, so I'm not going to change anything or move it. I'm kind of a fan though of the pale look, the European look, so to speak. I don't know, some people would disagree with me, but I don't know, there's something about it I like. You can kind of see the detail of the grain of the structure. I don't know how to describe it on the skin, which I find kind of interesting. So enough of that, I'll move on to the Seahorse tank. Seahorse Zoa tank. This tank is doing nice. I did a frag of the Gorgonian. See how that does. I've never fragged one of these before. The original did melt down onto the plug over the course of the last year, so I assume it's doing well. Seahorses are happy and healthy. I try to feed them at least twice a day, if not 3 times. Zoas are improving in color and polyp extension. Just kind of continuing doing regular water changes. And I believe decreasing the light and raising it helped. Sometimes you really never know what the issue was in the first place because, you know, you make so many changes without a response and then eventually it corrects itself. So it's kind of hard to say, but I have been struggling with this tank for, I want to say almost 6 months. I couldn't get the polyps on the zoas to open. But they are now growing. I need to remove these nuclear death pallies. I made a frag trade with a fellow reefer and he kind of just threw that one in there. I kind of regret putting it on this rock structure. And I got to risk my life chipping away at it. That should be fun. So I had planned on replacing this lighting, but for now I'm just going to go with it. Things are improving. This one last pally, I think it's a white zombie, still hasn't opened. It'll open halfway, but that's it. And I believe that is the most desirable one I own. Of course, it won't open. What are you going to do? So that's really it over here. Move on down to my frag grow out tank. It's definitely going through the uglies. Last month it was cloudy water, but there wasn't any really growth on the racks or rocks. But it went through an extreme algae phase to like an extreme film algae phase to quickly a hair algae and then a cyano. Then the water was clear for a week. Now it's cloudy. Now it appears to have a diatom mixed in with hair algae. Some of the frags did struggle. I lost a few. Some of the ones that were clearly on their way out I removed into another system. But it's nothing to worry about here. I have yet to do a water change. Just going through its beginning stages. You know, there's really no need to react to it. It's going to work itself out from my experience. Just start doing some small water changes and my usual routine, and then I know it's going to work itself out. But it is a little hard to look at this at the moment, especially with the cloudy water. But what are you going to do? You know, time will solve it. So I did add some AliExpress 48-inch light bars onto this T5 fixture. 4 bulbs. You know, obviously weren't going to cut it for a 24-inch wide tank. So I believe I paid $150 shipped for two 108 watt rated LED bars. I believe they put out approximately 50 watts, which is up there on with the Orphic and the Reef Brights. I have been following Telegram on YouTube. He's the one that recommended it, and I followed his advice. I custom ordered the LED diodes to 410, 450, and 470, and just had them alternate them until the bar was completed. I have noticed the 410 diodes are very dim on their own. I mean, it almost appears like they're not putting anything out, but it did increase the visual brightness of the tank, and the overall aesthetic is more pleasing, so I'm happy with it. And at $150, I mean, you're under the price of any other LED bar, so I can't complain. I got a few euphyllias down here in the sump, and there is a Tang in, I guess he's like in the rescue zone here. He was getting harassed by this sailfin Tang, so I need to come up with some sort of a plan. I may try to find a new home for this sailfin. He is quite aggressive, or maybe find a more compatible Tang to go with him. So I really do need to increase the herbivores in here, because there is some algae growing. That's all I got this month. Oh, I got a dehumidifier. I got to the point in this house where I could feel the difference in humidity, so I went ahead and picked up a dehumidifier to help with that. Works great. All right, guys, see you next month.